before I forget. And I will keep an eye on the waiting room, but want to get rolling and get started. I know we have lots to talk about and want to make sure there's time to get to any other questions we may not cover on our agenda. But to begin, just want to say hello and thank you so much for being with us tonight. We are all eagerly waiting camp to start, and we already have some of our seasonal staff here with us. They started coming in this week to prepare for the summer, and we just keep getting more staff over the next couple weeks before campers arrive in about 3 weeks. So very exciting time for us. So happy to have you all here. Some new faces, some returning faces. So thank you for joining us. And so I'll kind of start off. My name is Demi, and I am the camp director here at Olson. And my history started back as like a 2 or 3 year old, I think, in one of Russ's. Well, no, Russ, you wouldn't have been director quite yet. But I remember Russ taking care of me as a homesick camper when I was about 10, coming the first time as a overnight camper. But I did start coming to camp as a family camper, worked as a seasonal staff as well, left for college, worked out of state in Utah for a while, and came back 4 years ago for the camp director role, and love it very much and happy to be home back in the Northwoods. And to care for all of these campers on screen with us tonight. And so, Russ, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Demi. Hi, everybody. My name is Russ. I'm the executive director. You probably have seen my name around either on the website or in emails or invoices due. Who knows what it would have been. But that's me. I am been here. This will be my 21st summer at Camp Olson YMCA. I've raised my family here. My boys all attended camp and worked camp. Unfortunately, they're at that age where they're out pursuing full-time degrees or full-time jobs and other further degrees. But I'm so excited. We have over 1,302 camper weeks registered for the summer, which is near a record attendance for us, and I'm sure we'll surpass it. So many kids coming to camp this summer from right now 7 different countries and 28 different states that will be coming to Camp Olson. So our campers come from all over. So some of you are from Minnesota, some are all over, some in the Twin Cities, some in Rochester, some all over Minnesota. And then certainly we have some from all over the United States and other countries as well. So we're so excited you can join us tonight. We hope to answer your questions and provide you just with some more insight prior to coming to camp. I'm going to flip this over to Margaret Windenbank, newly married, new last name. And she's going to introduce herself, and then she'll turn it to Sam, our property manager, who's also on the line.
Hello, I am Margaret Windenbank. It is super weird to say that out loud. I got married a week and a half ago, so that's super exciting. And I actually met my husband at camp, so a Camp Olson love story, which we love. I am the assistant director. I have been the assistant director now for almost 2 years, but living up here for almost 5 now. My husband used to be the property manager, and now I'm the assistant director, and I work here full time. It is super cool to see new faces, familiar faces, staff. I am just itching for camp to start. It's cool to get the horses here, staff starting to arrive, and we are just so excited to welcome all of your campers, and I can't wait. Sam, you're up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sam. I'm the facilities director here at camp, so I'm involved in the custodial maintenance, buildings, grounds, and whatever else you can think that involve not just the people, but the facilities that we need to have everyone running and having a good time. I grew up close by in the local area over in Nisswa, and came to camp as a young child, and then slowly facilitated through the camp's internal program through LIT and CIT, and worked seasonally on staff for a while, and then left to continue my education to get a master's degree, and worked a couple different places as an outdoor educator, and then have recently returned to take on the facilities property role. And it's been really exciting this spring to see everything wake up, and we're almost ready to have people here. We're a little bit shy of having like boats in the water and everything else set up like that, but we're pretty close, and it's been very exciting to see the very quick wake up.
Awesome. And I also want to give some room for some of our seasonal staff that I see that have joined us on the call to go ahead and say hello as well. So I'll call your name, so not everyone all at once, at least if I see you. So Christina, if you want to introduce yourself, what your position is this summer, and maybe how long you've been coming to camp.
Yeah, hi, I'm Christina. I am going to be the SOS coordinator this summer. So I'm going to be in the health lodge, helping out with the campers, the stay over campers, just crisis management around camp. I've been coming to camp since I was like 10. I also was the homesick camper as well that Russ had to take care of when I was a little kid. My family has been coming to camp for generations, and that's how I found camp. And I don't think I've missed a single summer even visiting over the summer, the years that I've been up there. And I took a few years off as well for school, and I work in the mental health world, and I love it. And I saw this position open up, and I wanted to come back to camp for one more summer. So I'm excited to be coming back. I see a lot of new faces that I don't recognize. So it's going to be an exciting summer and getting everything prepared and all the emails and stuff. So I am super excited to meet all of you guys.
Awesome, thanks. How about Oliver?
Hi, I'm Oliver. I've been coming to camp my whole life, and this will be my second summer on staff. This summer, I'm doing a little bit of everything. I'm counseling. I have a few weeks as mountain bikes director, and then I get to lead 2 LIT trips. So really looking forward to those.
Thank you. All right, and I see one of our new staff persons, Gianluca. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, hi everyone. I'm one of the international staff members. I'm excited to try out a different activity, a different job. So I'm excited to see you all in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And where are you from?
Argentina.
Awesome. Great to have you join us. Let's see, I think we have another international. Everth, are you on here with us somewhere? Give him a moment to unmute if he wants. Otherwise, I'll keep looking through my list.
And we also have, in the meantime, we'd like to introduce Jeff Van Straten, who is actually our board president, parent of campers, former staff member. So Jeff, would you like to say a few words?
Wow. Thanks, Russ. This is awesome. This get together on the through the Zoom. This is awesome. And I am seeing some amazingly familiar faces on this, and also some names of people who live close to me here in Duluth, as well as around the state and the country as well. Listen, this summer is going to be fantastic, everybody. Russ and Demi and Margaret and Sam have been doing an awesome job getting camp ready to go for all of us. My 2 kids are going to be going to summer camp this summer as well, and we'll also be doing family camp too. So we are full-on camp people. So it's awesome to see everybody, and hopefully you have an opportunity to meet a bunch of you at camp this summer. Thanks, Russ.
Thank you.
All right, and I think there'll be a few others joining us that we will introduce later on as well, but we will go ahead and get started on some of our kind of questions and things that we want to share with you all, because I know we have lots to cover. We scheduled the meeting till 8. We're hoping it's done closer to 7:30, but feel free, if it's getting late, you have things going on, you can hop off at any time. This is being recorded and we will share this with everybody. So if you have to step away or feel like you missed something, you can always come back to it, and we are more than willing to always answer a call or an email as well. So to start, I'm gonna kind of begin with the most recent emails you've likely been receiving related to forms, and just want to share really quick how to access those, like where you should be looking to find those, because you will likely continue to get emails from us with those reminders, because they are all very important things that we need to have on file so we can provide the right amount of care and the right type of care for your camper. So I'm going to share my screen here and just show you exactly what you're going to be looking at. Because it can get a little overwhelming if it's your first time navigating CampMinder, which is the system that we use. And I'm going to just move a few things on my screen because I've got 2 of them. Share screen. All right. Are you all seeing my screen now? Perfect. So once you get logged in to your CampMinder system, which you can do right from the main Camp Olson page, you just go parents and down to parent login. And that'll bring you right where you can enter in your email address and get logged in. And it'll look a little something like this. So lots of options to choose from. So this is where it can maybe feel like a little overwhelming or don't know where to go. So first thing is just going to be to get right in and go to forms. All right. And from here, mine's gonna look a little bit different because I'm also a staff person. So these things you won't have. But down at the bottom, you'll see your camper's name. And so Bentley happens to be my dog, who is a camper for us tonight. And so these are all the forms that I still need to complete for Bentley. Ideally, all of these get completed, and they will say if they're required or not. But this is going to be the main point to access all of these forms. And so this is where you're also going to find some other just helpful information. So the parent handbook is going to have pretty much everything that we talk with you about tonight can be accessed in the parent handbook here. If you ever have questions or need to figure out your transportation, and we'll go through that here shortly as well, that's going to be here for you. But completing all these forms, the most important one to get through right off the bat would be the health history. That's going to be the most important. That just collects general information about immunizations, any like asthma, things like that we need to know about, medications that your camper might be on, so we can be prepared for them in that regard. And then other things that we want as well is a photo of your camper if you haven't uploaded one of those yet. That helps us in case of an emergency and if we need a picture of that camper, but also just to help us prepare too, especially for the new campers joining us that maybe we haven't seen before, so we can do our best to maybe even use their name if we can recognize their photo, and prepare their counselors to know who is who in their cabin. There's going to be some other forms related to transportation, trading post accounts, mental health form as well, beyond just the physical health form. An explanation of the behavior contract that we ask everyone to sign so you know what to expect of your camper. Most of those are just in the realm of respect, but we want to make sure that you and your camper read that ahead of time as well. And so this is where you can access all of those forms, and we will continue to remind you which ones need to be completed if you haven't gotten through all of them quite yet. So I'm going to stop share there. And I know there might be questions about some of the specific forms, and we will get into that a little bit later on tonight, but just wanted to briefly introduce you where to find those. So from there, I'm actually going to turn it over to Margaret, who's going to share a little bit about our daily schedule, and I will pull an example up of that as well.
Awesome. So daily schedule. So I'm just going to kind of go through a rough schedule of when meals are and what kind of goes on in the morning and what goes on in the afternoon. And obviously there's program specific schedules, and I'll kind of touch on that too. So bright and early, 7:30, rise and shine. Whether they like it or not, they're up and at 'em. Sometimes it takes a lot of work to get those kids out of bed, especially towards the end of the week when they are just tired. But 7:30 wake up, and we all meet at the amphitheater as a group 3 times a day. And that first part is at flag raising. So we raise the flag and just have some time together as a full camp community in the morning, and then breakfast at 8. Camp beautification, we kind of assign each cabin like a little project for the day so they can pick up litter, help organize life jackets, just to help keep camp clean and pretty all week. And then in the morning, we have cabin activities. So in the morning, your camper will hang out with their cabin group all morning. And there's 3 different activity blocks, 9, 10, and 11. And they will do 3 different activities and rotate through, and they have a schedule for that week. So if they kind of get nervous or anxious about the week, we always go through the schedule and kind of give them a warning of what they're getting into each day. And then we have lunch at 12:15. After that, we have afternoon announcements, which is a great way to get some giggles out. We've got really funny program staff that give a great little skit of what activities will be going on in the afternoon. Then they have a siesta time, so it's just quiet time. Some kids nap, some kids draw, but it's just a really good time to just simmer down for a little bit before the rest of the day happens. In the afternoon is free time, so they get to choose out of all the skits that they hear, they get to kind of choose what program area they get to go to, which is a great way to kind of foster that independence and kind of have a youth-led program, which we really like to do at Camp Olson. So they get to choose. We have a first block for an hour and a half, and then they'll all gather at the trading post for snack time. And this is where we take attendance, make sure all the campers are accounted for. They have a really nice salty treat, sweet treat, ice cream, and then they get to choose another activity for the rest of the afternoon. So this is a really fun, independent choice time. We do have our younger campers that do hang out as a cabin in the afternoon, the Pathfinder cabin. So they do not have free reign of camp. They are with their counselors all day, but they get to kind of have some fun, and sometimes they get to choose where they get to go. And then dinner time is at 6 o'clock. Everyone is very ready for dinner at 6 o'clock. Lots of hungry kids. 7 o'clock, evening game. We have lots of fun all camp games, Capture the Flag, Lord of the Rings, lots of favorites. And this is just a really great way to get all of camp together and have some fun for the rest of the evening. We have trading post at 8 o'clock. So this is an opportunity for campers to buy a t-shirt, water bottle, sweatshirt, whatever they need. And there's also some snacks available at the trading post if they need a little nighttime snack. We have campfire at 8:45, another all camp community event where there is funny skits and songs and just a great way for us all to be together as a Camp Olson crew. And then it's starting to wind down at 9:30. So some kids go straight to bed. Some of the older kids get to play games in the dining hall. Some kids go to the sauna. And then we try to have all camp lights out around 10:30. Some of the older kids might stay up around 10:30, but we try to have all the lights out and bedtime at 10:30. It's a lot easier to get them to go to bed later in the week than it is at the beginning of the week. They get tired. Does anybody have any questions about all camp? You can put them in the chat too if you have any questions. I see some hands raised, but Will DeYoung, do you have a question? What's up?
Your dad's unmuting. Hold on.
Can we bring electronics like phones?
That is such an awesome question. Well, and we'll actually go over the packing list in a little bit. So right now, let's just try and answer questions about the schedule because we will go over electronics and that kind of stuff. But great question, Will. Thank you very much. Cool. Well, if you guys
Is there a
have any
hand
other
up with-
questions,
Couple of
Dan
John?
Miles family, I see a hand up.
Could I ask a
Yeah.
question about bedtime?
Yeah.
What if the kids like to sleep sooner?
So kids, so after campfire at like 8:45, we try to just have some quiet time. So as a group, they can go back to the cabin if they're kind of a younger cabin group, and we do try to get them to bed pretty quick after campfire is over.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Dan,
Yeah. I forgot my question. Can I go swimming during free choice?
you can go swimming during free choice, and that is one of my favorite program areas. Great question. Craig Steerick, do you have a question?
What do we do during choice time? Like, what activities are there?
Awesome question. There is target sports. There's swimming, sailing, horseback riding. If you like going to the craft shop and making cool crafts, that's an option. There's fishing, and each program area has fun activities within their program area. So sometimes fishing, they go on the pontoon or they fish off canoes or kayaks. So lots of different options every day. And you can also have go on our website and look at more of our activities through that too. I'll take one more question, and then other questions can be put in the chat, and we'll try to answer those throughout the rest of the meeting.
I have a
Paige?
question. I have a
Oh.
question about, oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay, I have a question about swimming. Both my kids are good swimmers, but I am, they have not had much experience swimming in lakes. And I'm wondering if you do any sort of swim test or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Awesome question. So when they check in on Sunday as a cabin, they get to know each other, and they actually go down to the beach and they do a swim test with our waterfront director. So the waterfront director kind of assesses their swimming ability. I think they have to tread water for a minute in the deep end. And if they get nervous or need extra assistance, or treading water for a minute is a little hard, we just have more life jackets. So
Okay, so they can still swim in a life jacket if for some reason. Yeah, okay.
absolutely. And we have plenty of life jacket sizes for kids that need a life jacket and are more comfortable with that.
There are actually 3 areas of our swimming: shallow, middle, and deep. And so they'll pass into one of those categories. They can always swim up an area by wearing a life jacket. So if somebody only met the qualification for shallow, they can be in the middle area with a life jacket. For middle, they can be in the deep area with a life jacket.
Wonderful, thank you.
I also saw one question about showers. There is, people can shower during siesta, they can shower at night. So there is plenty of time for showers, and the counselors make a really good point to try and get all the campers to shower at least once throughout the week. So they won't be super, super dirty when they get home. Aria, do you have a question?
So I was wondering about during the free choice, do you have to do the camp activities, or could you do something you brought from home?
I would love it if you did something from home, but I'd rather you do that at an actual program area, just so the staff know where you are. So if you brought a craft from home, for sure take that to the craft shop, and the craft shop director would love to see the kind of crafts you bring from home too. So for sure you can. You just have to go to a program area so we know where you are.
Great, thank you.
Yep. All right, let's take one more question. Erin Nystrom.
Go ahead, please. How old do you have to be to be on horseback?
That is a great question, and I think it's 11, and Demi can give me a thumbs up if it's actually 11.
Yeah, so it depends what you want to do. To get on a horse, any age. But if you want to leave the arena, you have to be at least 11 to go on a trail ride, but any age can do a ring ride.
Okay.
Awesome. So if you guys have any more specific questions, I will try and take care of the chat and answer them through the chat. Thank you for all the great questions, and I'm going to turn it over to Russ.
Right, great. Yeah, great questions. And a lot of those we're going to be addressing later on in the program here. So keep them coming in the chat. We'll try to manage those as we go. We are now kind of moving to this post-pandemic stage of COVID. Most of you are probably aware we did not run camp in 2020 because of COVID. We had camp in 2021. And believe it or not, we were COVID-free that entire summer. If you recall, the Delta variant didn't hit us till late August in Minnesota. And then in 2022, last year, we had the Omicron variant, and that kind of caused us some issues, especially the last few weeks of the summer. So we do still have COVID protocols in place this summer, and we're going to go over those real quickly. They're easily found on our website on the homepage. It's a pretty small group. So if Demi wants to share that now, we'll kind of go over what our COVID protocols are for this summer. And the biggest one is, and the easiest one is, if you have the ability to, and we would like all of our staff and all of our campers to do an at-home COVID test. And I think they're pretty readily available yet still in pharmacies, or maybe even ask your school for one to take home so you have it for the summer. But one of our big things is to get that COVID test within an at-home test within 72 hours of your camper's arrival at camp. And we're not going to ask to see proof that you did it or proof of the test. You're just going to sign a form that says, yep, we did a test and we were negative, and just attest to the fact that you did that. And we're certainly and strongly encouraging everyone to be fully vaccinated in camp. So if it is here, we know that nobody's going to get seriously ill from COVID if they get it. We have people like my age around camp that try to avoid it as much as possible. But that's probably the big reason. And just that you're practicing really good policies regarding preventative health around COVID and vaccines with those, and trying to get a test done, at-home test within 72 hours at camp. If you do test positive within that time period prior to coming to camp, full refunds will be issued. You would just call us up and say, oh, I just tested my son or daughter. They were coming to camp next week and they are COVID positive. Obviously, we would like to avoid any COVID positive campers in camp at any given time. So either we'll try to reschedule you for later in the summer, or if we can't reschedule you, we can either roll over your fees for next year or provide you a refund. So that's really important things there. And if your camper would test positive in camp, then we will be calling you, and we're not going to be testing people in camp unless somebody's very symptomatic. So a camper comes to the health lodge complaining of headache, classic COVID symptoms, and we test that camper and they're positive, then we would be calling you to arrange pickup within 12 to 24 hours. If a camper was just exposed to somebody in camp, we're not going to be testing the entire cabin like we did last year. We'll wait till a camper is symptomatic before we actually do go about and start testing all of camp or a particular cabin group or something along those lines. So knowing that our staff are coming into camp negative is really going to be positive for us. Knowing that, you did a test and your camper was negative prior to coming into camp will be really helpful for us. We are not planning to wear any masking in camp. We're not planning to cohort or break groups up in smaller sizes. Obviously, we always practice good hand washing, and if a camper's not feeling well, to see the nurses in our health lodge. So in a nutshell, those are our COVID protocols. I think you can see them there. We're hoping that it will be an extremely healthy summer. And maybe we'll get just back to the normal camp crud that kind of goes around camp with 170 campers and 90 staff running around. So if you have particular questions, type those in the chat. I'll try to chime in on those as well about our COVID protocols, but they're pretty clear and dropped off. And, and again, we're just going to be really safe. So Demi, do you want to talk a little bit about when campers arrive at camp and pick up and drop off procedures?
Yes, thank you. So pick up and drop off. And for the most part, this is really going to just apply to overnight week-long campers. So if I have any day campers with us or short week campers, this will be a little bit different. But for most of you who are general week-long overnight campers, you will get dropped off to camp on Sunday. And drop-off times on Sunday is going to be a little bit different. If I have any returning campers here, we are switching the drop-off time to an hour later than usual. So new drop-off time is going to be Sunday between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. And that could be whether or not you're getting dropped off by a friend, parent, or guardian to camp private vehicle anytime between 2 and 4. If you are going to be taking the bus to camp, you will likely arrive around 3:30 to camp, but your drop-off time to the bus location will be a little bit earlier in the day. And we will talk about bus transportation shortly, not quite yet, but soon. So when you're getting to camp, you will drive into main camp down the main road. There will be plenty of signs pointing you in the direction of where to go. And you will turn onto our big grassy athletic field. And you'll see plenty of other cars and staff pointing you in the right direction. Go ahead and park your car. You can leave everything in your car except for medication. If you have medication for your campers during the week, bring that with you right off the bat. So plan ahead in packing. Don't put medications in the bottom of your suitcase. Leave it somewhere accessible. So when you arrive to camp, get out of your car, stretch your legs. If you need to use the restroom, feel free to do so. And then you're going to head over with your medications to a large tent where Margaret and I will be seated, and we'll get you checked in and introduced to your counselors. And I think someone might be unmuted, and I can't watch 2 things at once. So if anyone notices they're unmuted, please mute yourself. So yeah, you'll find Margaret and I at a big tent, and we'll get you checked in, go through your COVID paperwork, and go from there, get you introduced to your counselor, and your counselor will then walk you through the rest of the process, which is going to be getting checked in with the nurses. And that's where you'll hand over any of your medication. You can stop by the trading post and see what items are available for purchase. If you want to drop off any checker money to put into your camper's account, you can go ahead and do that as well. And then you'll come back up to the parking area and grab your luggage and get moved into your cabin. And this is also time where we can add in any other tours of camp as well for our new campers, new families that might want to see specific areas of camp. If you're really excited to go swimming, we can take you down to the beach. If you really want to see the rifle range, the horses, whatever it might be, we can make that a part of your tour when you arrive. And we're not going to go into the whole arrival process for kids, but knowing after the parent leaves, we will have a big get together with all of the campers to get introduced to their cabin mates and their counselors, get moved into their cabin, get to know each other a little bit, get to play some name games. That day is when we'll do our swim test as well. And then all of the campers will do a large tour around camp to get to know all of the staff and all the program areas, know where everything is. And then fast forward 6 days to pickup day. It runs a little bit faster than drop-off day, of course, because parents like to linger and hang out and see what camp is like, watch their kids play on the athletic field. Usually by Saturday, folks are tired, ready for a nap. Kids are ready. You got to pull them away from their friends and their staff a little bit, but they usually are a little bit more excited to get back in the car to go home and take a nice, well-deserved nap. But if you are going to be picking up your camper on Saturday for pickup, please plan to arrive between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. for that. And you will pull in kind of the same way you did on drop-off day. You'll come in, you can park on the athletic field, and one of our management staff members will come over and with a clipboard, get your name, make sure you're the one who's supposed to be picking up the camper. Mark it down on a sheet of paper, and then kids will start coming out from breakfast around 8:30. So there'll just be like a swarm of kids walking down the road towards the athletic field with their luggage, perhaps some electronics that they just got back at breakfast. And then just kind of keeping an eye out for your camper as they come down the main aisle there. If you are trying to get on the road earlier and need to, leave like right at 8 a.m. or something, not a problem. Let us know, and we can make sure that camper is ready to go a little bit earlier. They usually won't start coming out from breakfast until about 8:30. And when you get your camper, they will also have any leftover medications that they might have not taken during their week at camp. They'll get their electronics back. And I also encourage everybody to go towards the Nature Center, which is a large building on the athletic field where we lay out all of the lost and found. And there is a lot of it every week. So please, if you're picking up your camper, make that a pit stop to check and make sure that nothing there belongs to you or your camper, because we get a lot of it and we want you to have it back. So check out there, and that right around in that area as well is where you will find all of the camper luggage, and it'll be labeled by cabin. So you can just find, okay, my kiddo is in an oak cabin. I'm going to go to the pile of oak luggage and find what I need there. And if kids are riding the bus home, we'll call and make the announcement for all of the kids to get on the bus at a specific time. All of their big luggage will go underneath the bus. And if they have any smaller backpacks or things like that, they can, of course, take that with them on top to be comfortable as well. Margaret, Russ, did I miss anything? Or anyone have specific questions about pickup and drop off procedures, times?
Yeah, I'll handle some of those questions that I saw come in. I mean, we certainly encourage you to carpool. So when you fill out your transportation form in your portal, you generally will give us a name of who's coming with you. And that can change as well. Just let us know, or you can go in and change it. We do verify, like if you're carpooling, that maybe one parent's driving one way and the other parent's picking a child and their friend up at camp. We do ask for that name, and we'll verify that name on our form when they come to pick them up. So if you know, somebody says, if Margaret Windebank says I'm picking up, you know, Micah Link, then we'll know Margaret has permission to take Micah Link with them. So we'll watch those names. So we definitely encourage you to carpool. If your child is staying for greater than 2 weeks, this was a question that came up there. Your child is welcome to stay if they're back-to-back weeks with us. We're planning that. We have a modified program that goes on over that weekend from about Saturday 10 a.m. until the new campers arrive again Sunday beginning 2 p.m. If they're coming on the bus, how should they turn in their meds? Just hand those to the bus monitor. We will have a bus monitor on every bus. So that bus monitor will collect the meds, and then we will get them to the nurses. And when your child checks in with the nurses from off the bus, the nurses will already have those meds. If you want to bring a care package and not mail it, that's a great idea, actually. So if you're dropping off your child to camp, you can go to the camp store, drop off your care packages there, or any mail you have that you want given to your camper for the week. You can write on there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on the date you want it delivered, and we'll deliver it on that date. And then you can save shipping cost if you are bringing them to camp. I think those were some of the big questions that I saw related to kind of arrival day and bus. And that kind of leads me into talking about transportation now to begin with. So if you sign up for the bus and you can sign up for round trip or one way, we have 5 spots that we pick up and drop off from each week. On the way to camp, we start in Rochester, right outside the old YMCA there, outside the old YMCA main entrance doors in Rochester. Then we go to Owatonna on I-34 or I-35 and I'm going to forget 14, I believe. And then we go to the Twin Cities, where we go to the back parking lot of the Southdale YMCA in Minneapolis or Edina. From there, we go to St. Cloud and the St. Cloud Family YMCA in the front parking lot. And then we go to Brainerd and we do a pickup there, which is right at our bus company. So we use charter coaches for our transportation and Reichert Bus Company out of Brainerd Baxter has been providing our charter coach service for the last 20 years. So they do a great job for us. You'll see how to sign up. If your kid's riding the bus to camp and you're getting on in Rochester, Owatonna or the Twin Cities, and they haven't eaten lunch yet, they're not going to get to camp till about 3:30. So pack a lunch for them. If they're riding home from camp and getting off the bus after the St. Cloud stop, then we do pack a lunch for them on their way home. So if they're going to the Twin Cities or getting off in Owatonna or all the way back to Rochester, we will have a lunch packed for them. Your child will have their electronic devices on the buses, so that's a permissible place for them to have their electronic devices. And many times they may even call you when they're on the bus to tell you, hey, Mom, the bus is going to arrive in Rochester a half hour early. We'll be communicating that with you as well by email if we know that in advance as well. So that's kind of how our bus works. You will get an email generally from us in advance if you're scheduled to ride the bus, and then to camp, and you'll get an email from us if we are sending your child home on the bus and that location as well. So just know that, but if you want to make any changes to that, certainly, especially once your child is at camp, confirm that via the phone. So call us up and say, hey, my child was supposed to get off in the Twin Cities and now they're going all the way to Rochester. Confirm that via the phone if they're already in camp. So there's some real basic questions on bus transportation. If your camper is an international camper and arriving by air or out of state by air, you need to arrange that with us individually ahead of time. Generally, we do not do airport pickups or drop-ups except for our international arrivals.
And I'm just showing you all an example of what it'll look like when you sign up for transportation. When you click on the transportation form, it'll show you these options here of the week that your camper is enrolled and the options of which they can pick from for bus and car. And that's where you can list the authorized adult that you're going to have pick them up if you know you're going to be carpooling. And you can list multiple names if you're not sure exactly who it will be quite yet, or if you want to select any of those bus options as well.
All right, Margaret, I touched on it a little bit with a question there, but Margaret's going to talk a little bit if you have a camper coming for multiple weeks and they're with us, what we call stayover campers in between sessions.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. So stayover campers that are staying on the weekends. Christina Brown is our SOS coordinator, and she will be the person on duty hanging out with kids and ensuring that they are fed and safe and making sure that they're having a good time. So LITs, if your camper is an LIT, almost all of the trips this summer are over the weekend. So if your camper is an LIT staying for 2 weeks, they will probably be on trail. They will not be at camp. CIT campers that are here for 4 weeks, they will be at camp for a couple weekends, and they will also be on trail for 1 weekend. And one of their CIT counselors will be at camp with them. So on the weekend, if your camper is staying, it's a pretty chill weekend. We try to open program areas, meals are provided. We have a movie night that night. So it's just a really nice, relaxing weekend at camp. It's kind of fun because they have camp all to themselves. Christina will try to make some fun activities. We can go to a craft shop, beach if there's a lifeguard, and open some program areas for them. If your camper is staying for 3 weeks or longer, we will help them figure out doing some laundry. CITs will do laundry as a group. And some international kids, we have them go into town and do laundry. If your camper, for some reason, like runs out of underwear, all their stuff got really wet and muddy all week, and they really need to do laundry, we will accommodate and try and get some stuff washed for them if they're only here for 2 weeks. So know that if your camper just was a mess all week and doing all the fun muddy things, we will try and make it work to get some laundry done for them. Obviously, I hope that they have enough underwear and all that kind of stuff for the week. But if something happens, we will make sure to get that washed for them. And Christina Brown will be the person to help navigate that. Weekends are a super fun opportunity to meet some new friends and hang out for the weekend. There's an opportunity for a longer siesta and they can sleep in. We will have some really good meals for them, movie night. So just a really fun, relaxing weekend. They do not have to stay the weekend. So if your camper is staying for 2 weeks and they're like, I want to sleep in my own bed that night and hang out with my parents, you are more than welcome to come pick them up for that 24-hour period, or they can stay with us. Obviously, just let us know if you are going to pick them up and if you change your mind. So So yeah, is there any questions about stayovers or anything like that? Cool. Oop, there's someone in the chat. Nope. Cool. Then I will, if there's no questions, I will turn it over to Bailey Andrews.
Hello, hello. I am going to talk a little bit about food service at camp. So it is my second summer here spending the camp as the food service manager. Really great job to have for the summertime. I am a longtime camp person, but this is a new area for me. We're just going to talk a little bit about what food service looks like at camp and share. I was the manager last summer. I will be the assistant manager this summer because we have Jordan Burney joining us, who unfortunately wasn't able to join us. He's on vacation seeing his family this week, and he will be filling the manager role, and I will be the assistant manager. The beautiful thing about Jordan joining us is that he is a trained chef who supported our camp last year in preparing for kids camp, setting up systems to better our food service, and came back for family camp and cooked for our family camp last summer. So I'm not sure if we have any family campers here who have first-time campers or anything like that, but you would remember Jordan. He has so much experience in food service and restaurants and catering, and most recently was the head chef for the University of North Dakota's Greek Life. So really, really understands cooking for large groups of people and making sure that special diets, allergies, and things like that are followed. Jordan and I will work closely with campers and staff so that we can ensure that everybody has safe, healthy, and filling meals during our weeks at camp. I think that food and filling kids' bodies and brains is so important. I am a teacher during the school year, so I know that kids need a filling breakfast and a filling lunch to have successful days at camp. When we serve those meals, each meal includes a source of protein as well as other food groups, fruits, veggies, starches, all of those things. We prioritize having protein-filled breakfasts in order to start our campers' days on the right foot. So some protein examples might be eggs or sausage or bacon, alternative protein for our vegetarians, our vegans. And then, of course, those regular breakfast items like pancakes, French toast, biscuits and gravy. And then fresh fruit, cereal, and yogurt and oatmeal are provided with every breakfast at camp. So when we move on from breakfast and come back, we really try to provide a variety of menu items and meals within our menu. Some highlights include taco bar, hamburgers, we've got chicken patties, we'll do mini corn dogs. Those are all kind of our lunchtime foods. Our dinners include build your own burrito bowls, pasta bar, grilled chicken sandwiches. We do pizza night when the kids first get there. And both lunch and dinner have a full salad bar as well as other vegetables that accompany that main dish. So it's really, really, even your pickiest eaters usually are able to find something in that meal that they are able to eat. And definitely those special diets. That's what I'm going to touch on next for. So I know that we have vegetarians and vegans, and then we've got our allergies and other considerations that come into play. In your forms that Demi talked about early on, it gives you a space to talk about allergies or special diet requests. Please feel free to put as much information as you want to on that. We review that prior to your campers coming, and then post that for our team and make sure that our menus reach those campers. So when we're doing that, anytime food contains an allergen that we know a camper has, it is labeled, and it's separate from that non-allergen food. Food that might follow a special diet, that's also labeled. Sometimes we'll have things on the buffet line that are vegetarian, so our vegetarians can take that. We'll label that so that they know that that item on the line is available for them. But we also have other vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free items within the kitchen. When we talk about allergies, I know one of the main concerns can be peanut allergies. So peanut butter is not served on our buffet line. It is available within the kitchen during sessions that don't include airborne peanut allergies. So if your camper has a peanut allergy, please just let us know if it's airborne or if it's ingested or touch. it just really does impact what we're able to serve throughout that week. Specifically, like when we're going on trips and things like that, oftentimes we'll make peanut butter sandwiches. And if you have a camper who's going on that trip, obviously we're not necessarily going to send peanut butter sandwiches along if it's airborne, or we're going to send them something else through with them to eat. So please, please, please just keep us posted on what that is so that we can make sure we provide them with safe food for them. Let me see where my notes are. When we talk about that vegetarian, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, if your camper's on those, we will make contact with them. Jordan or myself will make contact with that camper within 24 hours of them arriving at camp. We are not always on camp on Sundays when they get there, but our team knows who it is, and counselors know who their campers are that have those special diets as well. When we meet up with your camper, we just want to see their face, greet them, let them know we're there to provide them with food that's safe for them to eat, and to just support them through any meal that they might need. We really want our kitchen to be a place that our campers feel comfortable coming to and asking questions and finding out more about the food. I think I'm really excited to be able to expand some of the meals that we provide for our campers this year. So that's going to be great. When we are providing those special diets, they are offered within the kitchen. So campers, you're going to get in line for a buffet with your cabin. If you are a special diet, you can just grab a plate and then you come into the door right by the beginning of the buffet line. And we have signs that tell you where your food is. And we have a staff member who's there to assist in serving you and getting anything you might need. Let's see here. If you have any concerns or you're worried about your student or your child's student, that's that teacher in me. If you're worried about your camper's dietary needs, please do not hesitate to email, call. If those emails go straight to Demi or Russ or Margaret, they will reach out to me or Jordan, and one of us will reach back out to you and give you those answers you're looking for. We really are excited to spend the summer with your kids doing what I call the most important part of the day, providing meals. Number one goal is to provide campers with delicious meals, fuel them throughout the busy day, and keep them healthy and safe. Really, really just, we are here to support your kids, feed your kids, and help them have the best time at camp. I saw a couple notes that I want to be able to answer because I should be able to do that. The first question about carb counts. So that would definitely be one that I would request that you send an email and call for a phone call, because we definitely don't have carb counts all of the time. But if that's a dietary need, we would definitely want to be able to provide that for that child's special medical need. S'mores come from our trip center, but are available for our counselors to pick up and have for their kids throughout the week if they want to have special campfires. And then I'm trying to check and see if there's anything else that I missed. Does anyone else have any quick questions about food service that I can answer? We feeling good about it? Awesome. Well, you guys, if you have, please do not hesitate to reach out. We can answer your personal questions too as needed, but food is going to be great. It's going to be hot and delicious. And for our campers here, I think would love to know that we do serve cookies for dessert at lunch, and we serve different desserts throughout the week for dinner. So just a fun little special treat for our kids as they are here for the week. Awesome. I think
Thanks,
I'll turn it back over to you, Demi. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm actually just going to put it right back over to Russ, who's going to talk a little bit about healthcare.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks so much, Bailey, for talking about food. It's a big part of camp. We view food as a program area at camp. So as important as it is that your campers have fun sailing and horseback riding or camping in a tent overnight or going out to shoot a bow and arrow, we also believe that food is an important part of our program. We know that well-nourished kids sleep better, have more fun, their attitudes are better, behaviors improve, so food is an important part. And with that is their general health care in camp. So we have 2 nurses with us 24/7 in our Camp Health Lodge, and a nursing assistant, or our SOS coordinator, Christina Brown, who's also on the line. So there are 3 people that actually sleep in our Health Lodge 24/7, including 2 nurses, 2 RNs. We do ask that all of campers' medication is turned into our nurses. And I'm going to say that once again, all their medication is turned into our nurses. Now, that includes over-the-counter medicine, if you're going to send your kid with vitamins or Advil, if they have a headache or body aches or whatever that might be. If there are certain medications that your child needs to have with them because of a medical condition, such as an EpiPen for an anaphylactic reaction or allergy, we're going to allow them to either have that with them on person or the counselor will carry it for them. We realize that some campers may need to carry an inhaler for them to manage their asthma. And certainly there are campers that are managing diabetes in camp that will have insulin pumps or other things with them on their body. But those are really the three medications that we allow our campers to have outside of the health lodge, along with some topical creams. For example, we realize that maybe they have a special cream that they put on every night that is a prescription medicine. Then let the nurses know about that. It'll get checked in with them, and our nurses will decide and train our counselors how to handle that medication. A couple medicine notes. We cannot accept any medicine into camp that does not come in the original container from the pharmacy. So all medicines have to come in the original container from the pharmacy. Please do not pre-dose it in a Sunday to Saturday dosing container, because we don't know what those pills are in that container. All medication has to come with the original bottle from the pharmacy, and we can only administer it how it says on that bottle. So for example, if your physician changed from 10 milligrams to 5 milligrams, but the bottle says 10, that's what we're responsible to do. Or the more likely scenario would change from 5 to 10, and now you're doubling the dose. We can't do that without a change in order from your physician. So be sure that all medicine is correct, the label is correct on the bottle, and it's still in the bottle when you deliver it to camp. That is so, so important. Homeopathic remedies or situations we will not administer. So if you're putting a bunch of pills or vitamins or things in a bottle that are homeopathic type of remedies, we cannot administer, our nurses cannot administer those at camp. However, if they're vitamin and it's a children's vitamin and the bottle says administer 1 a day on an over-the-counter medication, that is fine. Those we will administer. If your child takes a sleep aid at night and it's for the purpose of a sleep aid, and it's over the counter, we'll administer it how it says on the bottle based upon your child's weight, height, whatever the bottle says it can be. But all of those medications need to come in their original bottles, not in a baggie, not in a pre-sorted pill container. Really, really important about that. Most of our staff are all trained in CPR. Many of our staff are wilderness first aid providers. And many of our nurses also are advanced practice nurses. So we can do some things in our health lodge that typically, wow, you took care of that for me, or maybe we called in. Our local healthcare, we have a clinic 5 miles away in Longville. So if your child would need to get seen by a physician and it's during normal clinic hours up here, that means Monday through Friday about 9 to 4, we can get them into a clinic. However, if your child needs to be seen by an emergency room and it's after hours, our closest emergency room is an hour away. And so we are fortunate, though, that the ambulance hall, if it needs to be an emergency and transported by ambulance, is just down the road from camp. And so our average response time for an emergency requiring an ambulance is only about 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes. We do have defibrillators on site. We do have a nebulizer on site. There are some things that we can do automatically to stabilize a child until emergency transportation would arrive as well. And then from there, our nurses are available for the mental, physical, and social needs of your child as well, supporting them. And we also know that many of our campers may actually have to maybe get on a phone call with their therapist back at home. We can work through that as well. If they do see a therapist back at home for a particular reason, we can help guide that process so they don't have to miss a week. Obviously, if you can reschedule while they're at camp, that would be the preference. And then all of our first aid supplies are available, both in cabins and in the health lodge. And as far as packing over-the-counter medicine, like an over-the-counter allergy med, a Zyrtec, for example, certainly you can pack those things. We prefer you send your own, but we do have a supply of certain over-the-counter medicines that we call standing orders that our doctor provides us with. Obviously, over-the-counter painkillers, acetaminophen and ibuprofen, and then certain over-the-counter allergy relief medication that we do have on site is our standard kind of practice. But other than that, those kind of go through the baseline of our healthcare. Your child will have a complete interview with our nurses, and be prepared during that interview on arrival day. We also give a quick life check to all of our campers. We want to make sure that, you know, we're examining them, that we're sending them to their cabin lice free, and making sure that we're trying to send them home lice free as well. Looking at that. But as I bring that point to your attention, talk to your child before camp about not sharing personal items. We shouldn't share water bottles in camp, right? We want to talk about spreading disease fast in camp. Talk to them about proper hand washing. Talk to them about not sharing combs or, you know, lip balm, things like that. So really just good common sense things about hygiene that's really important, and even more important in the camp environment. Well, great. Did you guys catch up with any steaming questions in the chat there that need to be answered?
I think we've been keeping tabs on them. There are some questions about over-the-counter medicines, and we do carry most of those most common over-the-counter medicines like ibuprofen, allergy medicines, sore throat medicine, things like that in stock. So really don't have to send anything with them. If your campers do take like a chewable melatonin or specialty kind of Zyrtec allergy medicine or something like that that you can buy at Walmart, you're welcome to send that with your camper. It does just have to be turned into the nurses for them to dispense. They can't keep it with them in the cabin.
Great.
Awesome.
Well, if you have individual questions, again, we're always available. And yeah, if your child takes medication that needs to be refrigerated, our health lodge is very modern, very up to date. Refrigerated medications, not a problem at all. Medications are delivered to your kids in the dining hall at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then they go to see the nurses at bedtime or any other time of the day that they might take a medication. So the nurses are always up in the dining hall. Well, great. So we've got medications. Now you're going to pack those medications. So Margaret, let's talk about what to bring to camp and what to pack and what not to bring.
Okay, we are trucking along. So packing, I'm going to first talk about what not to pack. You can for sure send them with their phone. So if they need some phone entertainment on the bus or on the car ride, that's totally fine. We do confiscate those phones and lock them in the management office for the week. So they will have no access to their electronic devices that can connect to Wi-Fi or anything during their time at camp. So you also, pocket knives are a common thing to send to camp. We do also confiscate pocket knives. So any sharp objects, stuff like that, we do confiscate. LITs and CITs, we do make some special considerations for when they're on trail. It just depends how big that knife is. Some people have a passion for pocket knives, make it a little too big. So yeah, anything that can connect to Wi-Fi. So like iPads, Apple Watches that can connect to their cell phone, we do take those for the week. They can have like Fitbits and stuff if they like those, but nothing that can connect to cell phones or Wi-Fi or anything like that. And then we'll later talk about how they can communicate with you during the week. Packing, you can find an actual packing list in your parent handbook, and you can also find it on the website. So if you kind of want to, there it is. Thank you, Demi. Just some little suggestions that I find to be a common theme when kids come to camp. Socks get wet and sweaty and gross, so I would for sure pack extra socks. A flashlight. I would also recommend a flashlight. The bathrooms are in walking distance, but they don't have bathrooms in the cabin. So if they're going to the bathroom at nighttime, they're going to want a flashlight to get to the bathroom. You can for sure pack sunscreen, bug spray. We do have sunscreen around camp and bug spray around camp, but not in the cabin. So it's nice if they can kind of spray themselves or put some nice sunscreen on their face and stuff before they go to a program area. What else? So there are some program areas that do require pants, and that is the corral. So for sure pack jeans or long pants with closed-toed shoes for the corral. Most campers will ride a horse at least at some point. So long pants and tennis shoes. I noticed a lot of blisters last year because those little feet get sweaty or they just run out of socks and they wear tennis shoes without socks. So we for sure would like you to pack them socks. If your camper forgets anything, sleeping bag, pillow, toothbrush, deodorant, anything, we go around at the beginning of the week and ask them if they forgot anything. So we have a ton of extra clothes, sleeping bags, all that kind of stuff. So your camper will not suffer if they forget something. We will make sure that we get them some extra goodies if they forget anything. Sheets. I saw someone ask about sheets. Sheets are a really good way to make your bed super comfy. They are camp bunk beds. They are comfy, but sheets just make it a little bit more homey. So you can for sure bring sheets on a nice big pillow and a pillowcase. It just makes their bed a little bit more comfy for sleeping. Let me check this chat. I think Demi is really working through this chat about packing. Sailing, yeah, it looks like the questions are getting answered by Russ and Demi, which is great. Does anybody have any questions that they didn't put in the chat about packing, tips, what to pack, what not to pack, all that kind of stuff? Cool.
Definitely
And again,
pack a water bottle, you know, a reusable water bottle a camper can fill all the time. You know, we certainly sell them at the camp store. You can buy one the very first day and we'll be happy and your camper will be happy. And then we'll write their name on it with a marker because they all begin to look the same. But yeah, water bottle is such an important part of camp and there are places to fill up all over. We really encourage a lot of fluid drinking because it's amazing how much more fluid a body expends at camp just running around the normal, and especially coming off the school year, you know, we're more sedentary and now we're running around camp. And so we really do encourage a lot of fluid drinking in camp. Obviously we'll maybe end that a little earlier, younger kids closer to bedtime, but you know, fluid drinking is so important in camp.
I saw a question about a Nintendo Switch. So we also do confiscate gaming systems. So Nintendos, anything that you can kind of electronically game on. I love a good Nintendo Switch session, but we will have other awesome entertainment things for you at camp. So remember that if you forget anything, we will take care of your camper. They just have to remember that they need to tell us if they forgot something. We want to make sure that they have soap for showering, toothpaste for brushing their teeth, all that kind of stuff, and we will for sure take care of them. They just have to let us know if they forgot anything and we'll figure it out for them. Sweet. Next up is Demi about Trading Post.
All the cool stuff you can buy, or if you forgot to pack all of your shirts, you can buy some super cool camp swag. And I know there was quite a few questions about Trading Post, what's available, things like that. So I'm going to go right into the exciting stuff and show you our online store, which you can access online. And this will get updated throughout the summer if we change our stock and things like that. So you can access this by going to our website, clicking on the Parents tab, and right down to Trading Post. And this isn't quite up to date for the summer. We still are waiting for our food orders and our clothing orders, but for the most part, it'll be pretty close. So if you just scroll down You can see all of the clothing items that are available, how much they can be purchased for. So you can plan ahead of time how much you want to send with your camper, or even pick out ahead of time with your camper what you want them to get. And so through here, you can kind of see the various items available and how much they're going for. Souvenirs as well. So hats, water bottles, fanny packs, mugs, stuffed animals, all sorts of cool stuff you can get. And then at the bottom, we'll even share with you the snack items that are available and how much those cost as well. So you can see all the sorts of types of things we get, the salty treats, some protein options, the good ice cream options as well for those really hot days, and then some beverages as well to help keep them hydrated. We don't serve anything caffeinated, no soda or anything like that. We try to stick to the juices, water, Capri Suns, and things like that. So this gives you a good sense of what is available to buy and how much everything costs in the store. And so from there, I will also show you, okay, well, how do I pay for all of this stuff? So in your forms, I will share that as well. So in your forms, on your main page, you will click Forms and Documents and go all the way down, and you'll have an option here that says Trading Post. You can click on that, and this is where you'll put in that initial amount of money. So, all right, I want to send Bentley with $50 for the week that he's going to be at camp. I'll just click on here, and this is where it gets a little confusing. It's going to say $1. And so 50 times $1 is going to put you at $50. So if you just put 1, that's going to be $1. So please do pay attention to that. We don't have any extra activities that you have to enroll in, so you can ignore this first thing. Everything is included. And it will ask you if there's any money left over, do you want to donate that to camp, or do you want it received back? So if you do want to receive it back, please notate that in this memo section as well. So we can, we will send you a check if there is remaining money over, I believe it's $10 now that we've changed this to, so this will have to get updated. If it's less than $10, it just kind of gets scratched off. But if you want to donate anything greater than that, let us know, or it'll get mailed back to you.
Yeah, and how that works, so if you choose to donate any money, it goes to our scholarship fund the following year. So any money that your child doesn't spend, and if you choose to donate that, that supports our scholarship program and helps other kids go to camp the following year. Or if your balance is under $10 at the end of the year, we transfer that to our scholarship fund. You can still request it if it's $9.22 or $7.40. You can still request it that you want a refund, and we'll still refund it. But our practice is if it's under $10, we will roll that into our scholarship fund. And this coming summer, we will provide over $89,000 in scholarship assistance to help kids come to camp, assist them that if they couldn't afford to put money in their camp store account or afford to ride the bus to camp. We'll provide over close to $90,000 this summer in providing scholarship assistance. And we're very proud of that. We believe that camp is an inclusive place for all, and it should be available for all regardless of somebody's ability to pay. So we do appreciate if you do choose to donate those funds to us.
Awesome, thanks. And I'm going to keep showing you a few other things related to how you can interact with your camper. And this is going to be done again through our CampMinder Camp in Touch online portal. I want to share my screen one more time. And I will say as well, so I showed you in forms where you can add that initial money. If you want to keep track of what they're spending, that, you know, they're not buying like ice cream all the time every day, or like they probably don't need 6 shirts. You can keep track of what they're buying. The week that they are here, there is this option that says view camp store accounts, and that will show exactly what they're buying and how much money is left. And if your kiddo by like day 2 has spent all of their money and is still trying to buy more things, you will probably get an email or a phone call from us, just because they probably are like, oh, I spent all my money on shirts or water bottles or stuffed animals, but now I still want snacks. might call you and give you that heads up of what's happening and say you might need to either tell your camper to slow it down or to add more money, little things like that. But you can keep track of what they're spending on and if you need to add more money right there. So any other questions on Trading Post camp store related things before I keep going? All right. So next up is just to talk about how you can communicate with your camper while they're at camp, because of course, as Margaret mentioned, we will take their phones once they are here. We are a tech-free camp for our campers. Though I will say our staff will carry phones with them because that is how we communicate with our staff members, but they know to keep that out of sight unless it is work related. But we will be taking phones from campers, but we still want families to be able to communicate with each other. And so there's a few options for that. One is good old snail mail. You're more than welcome to send letters to camp to our mailing address, and that is listed in our handbook as well. So you can find the mailing address there. Or if you're dropping your camper off by car, you can just hand us a stack of letters if you've pre-written them. And that is a great idea because mail does take quite a while to get to camp, usually an extra day or two compared to what you might be used to. So if you hand us a stack of cards or letters, you know, label it like hand this one out on Monday, hand this one out on Wednesday, we will deliver mail on those days. And that goes for packages as well. If you want to just drop those off rather than sending them through the post, that is just fine. I will say campers can buy stamps and stationery and things like that at camp. You can send them with stationery and everything they might need to send and mail a letter. Probably only 25% of them will actually write you if you've asked them to. Kids get so busy while they're at camp, and I hate to tell you, the last thing on their mind in most cases is to tell mom and dad what's happening at camp. They will be so excited to share everything when they get home. Very hard to get them to sit down and write a letter while they're at camp. So those campers do exist that do love to write home. Just be prepared that it might not happen, and that's okay. It means they're having a good time if you're not hearing from them. Another option is to send emails or e-letters if the snail mail option feels like it might just take a little bit too long. We do have an email system that you can set up through your Camp In Touch or Parent Portal account. And to do that, I'll show you the button to click. So when you are logged on to your screen, you're going to see these things called camp stamps. And so you can click on there and order as many stamps as you want. And you can share this with grandma, grandpa, neighbor, friends as well. So you can share guest accounts to also purchase camp stamps, to send emails and receive emails. So it'll look a little bit something like this if you do choose to use that option. You can pick to like have fancy stationery and things like that, or to add photos to your e-letters and stuff. And some of those things do cost extra every time you send a letter. Usually you buy these stamps in a package of like 5, 10, 15, whatever it might be. But this is where you will go to send those. And if your camper does choose to write you a letter back, you will see that here. It'll also get sent to you in an email, but you can click your inbox here as well to see if anything has been sent back to you. But again, I will warn you, if you do purchase the blank page for your camper to write back, can't promise you that they will email you back. We get plenty of phone calls like, oh my goodness, I haven't heard from my camper. I sent them paper to write me back, but I haven't heard from them. We will do our best to track them down and remind them that mom or dad or aunt, uncle, cousin would love to hear from them, but we can't promise that they will actually write you back. Instead, another option to just see what they're up to is to view photos. So we have a camp photographer that takes a couple hundred photos a day, and our goal is every day they get posted. Sometimes it can get a little bit delayed, but usually every evening around 10 o'clock or so, we will get all the photos uploaded to are on to the online portal as well, where you can view those. From the same screen I just shared with you, there's going to be a button down at the bottom that says photos, and that's where you can go to view anything. And for that, I also like to give the kind of note or warning that as much as we'd like to think it, we don't smile all day, every day. We will catch photos of campers with a frown on their face. Maybe they're looking a little disgusted because they're holding a tadpole or something like that, but the tadpole isn't actually in the frame, or little things like that. So this is like in action photos. They're not all posing. So you might get some photos where you're like, oh, my camper doesn't look like they're having a great time. Chances are they are. We just caught them while they didn't even realize we were taking a photo of them. And we also have quite a few campers that are like masters of disguise and know exactly when our camp photographer is coming by and avoids them. And so just because there is not a photo of your camper that day doesn't mean that they are lost in the woods or anything like that. They just get very good at hiding from the camera, or just kind of in passing, they just ended up to miss each other. Though every Sunday, you're pretty much guaranteed to have a photo of your camper, because we do get photos of the whole cabin group during that time. We do try to get as many photos as everybody as possible. And if you don't see one for a couple of days of your specific camper, don't worry, they're okay. If you are really nervous, you can reach out to Margaret or I, and we'll try to sneak a photo of them. But know that they're okay, even if you're not seeing a photo daily. And that's something we are working on too in the future. We're hoping to hire even more camp photographers, so there can be even more photos. But then there's just a lot to go through as well, the more photos we have. Let's see, and I see a couple questions here in the chat. Let's see, care packages, you can definitely send. Yeah, you could definitely send them on the bus as well. Just give them to the bus monitor. If you don't want to pay for postage, that is a great option. I would, if there's anything not to pack in care packages, I would say we try to stay away from too much food and candy, though also I know that people send food and candy, so it becomes a little bit of a like, oh, but they got candy and my mom said I couldn't have candy, so it can get a little bit difficult. So as much as I say, don't send food or candy, I know people are going to send food and candy. So just be careful in those things that you do send. Usually try to send enough that there will be some sharing amongst the cabin, and being aware of food allergies. So avoiding things that are commonly food allergies like peanuts and things like that. Otherwise, there's not too much that we say don't send. And counselors will usually kind of just watch what's being opened just to make sure that there's nothing that they shouldn't have. Campers will find out who is in their cabin right after they arrive. So when everyone arrives off the bus, all the campers have been dropped off. Everyone will figure out who their cabin mates are. So typically as they're arriving, we're introducing them to their cabin mates as well. So not too far after they get dropped off are they going to start to know all of those cabin mates and counselors as well. And in terms of communication too, I do want to let you know when you will hear from us. So we've kind of talked about how you can communicate with your camper. I know there can also be the question of how often should I hear from the camp staff? So we like to say no news is good news. We are usually very busy just doing the day-to-day logistics of camp and hanging out with your kids. So we're not going to be, we hope that we're not sitting in the office answering emails all day, every day. So it is a big part of our day. We do like to be out and about with the kids as well, but only in cases of like real emergencies will we be contacting you. And we always try to preface the phone call of, hi, this is Camp Olson, but don't worry, it's not an emergency. So if you do see our name pop up on your caller ID, don't worry, most of the time things are a-okay. And we will of course let you know if that is different. The times that we will check in, whether it be through email or a phone call, could be the case of a weather emergency or really any big emergency at camp. We will let you know if we have to go into a storm shelter and letting you know that everyone is okay after that. If there's any big behavior concerns happening at camp, whether it be that your camper is the perpetrator and is perhaps bullying other kids in the cabin, or if they are the victim of bullying. And even to the case of if your camper is a witness to that happening in the cabin, we will try to notify you of those things happening. And if there is any kind of code of conduct breaks to where your camper is not following our behavior contract, we will be sure to let you know. And it does lay out in our behavior contract kind of our zero tolerance policy, and at what case we may have to request you to come pick up your camper. So we will communicate those things with you, and we do our best to catch them early, of course, as well, and to notify you and work with you as well. I mean, oftentimes you're going to know best what your camper responds to. So if we're seeing something come up and everything we're trying just doesn't seem to help, we're going to call you and say, hey, this is happening. What has worked best in the past at home or at school and things like that. We want to partner with you all as much as possible in supporting your camper while they're here. And then if there's any medical concerns going on that we need to get maybe extra information on while they're at camp, or if they spend the night in our health center, if they just, have a really bad stomach ache and they need to spend the night or something like that, we will notify you for those reasons as well. Anything I missed, Russ or Margaret, in terms of when we will communicate? Or
No, very thorough. And, we'll always, we are on the side of caution, but at the same time, as Demi said, no news is good news. I'm a parent, so I understand that if I kind of use the rule of thumb, if I would want to know that, then I think another parent would want to know that. So that really helps guide our decision-making at camp. And we find that very helpful. Well, we're almost wrapped up here. Margaret's going to talk a little bit about preparing your first-time camper for camp this summer if they're coming for the very first time. We're excited. Being away from home can cause a lot of anxiety, sometimes more for the parent than it does for the camper. So Margaret, go ahead.
All right, first-time campers and first-time parents of first-time campers. We are so excited to welcome your camper to camp for the first time. Arrival day can be a big culture shock for some kids. It's just a lot going on, all new faces, especially for the kids that don't know anybody. We try our best to make it a welcoming, fun place to be. But sometimes those anxieties, we just can't avoid them. But we will be sure to catch some of those anxieties early. Preparing your camper, I would really recommend stuff like this. So logging into our Zoom meeting is just a great way for your camper to kind of understand, and for you to understand what we're about, what we do at camp, and just to see the full-time staff face can help kind of ease some nerves, I think, as well. If your camper is coming to camp and they have never, ever had a sleepover, or they just haven't had a sleepover in a really long time, that can be kind of a good way to prep them, either at a grandparent's house, family friend's house, cousins or best friends. It's just a good way to kind of practice not staying in your own bed, not staying at home, and stuff like that. Or just kind of get them out of their comfort zone. You can camp out in the backyard, something that is just out of their normal sleeping daily routine, I think can really help prep your camper. For sure, take them through our social media pages and our website. Pictures really help so they can kind of visualize, okay, this is what I'm getting myself into. I know what this looks like. I know what activities I'm going to do. That can also really help. Before camp, if your camper is just not having any fun the week before, super anxious, super nervous, you can always just call us and give us a warning to give us tips. We always like to know ahead of time some of those nerves. So you can always just reach out to me or Demi about your camper if they're a little bit nervous. A lot of you filled out those forms that kind of give us a heads up on if they're nervous. So that also helps. We read all of them. Their counselors read them before they come. So we really know your camper and what they're excited about, what they're nervous about, and all that kind of stuff. We don't announce what cabin they're in until they get here. So that can be a little nerve-wracking. We do our best to try and honor friend requests and stuff like that. If we can't honor a friend request that you formally requested, we will call you so you can kind of prep your camper if we can't accommodate that friend request. So If you didn't hear from us, for the most part, they are in the cabin with the person that they requested to be in. Homesickness and stuff. If your camper is super homesick, we will for sure get in touch with you. Even if I just call you and just say, hey, just so you know, we're working through some homesickness. They're doing okay. I will kind of call and either ask for tips and tricks or just to let you know. My recommendation is do not promise them that you'll come pick them up on the first day. A lot of campers come and they're super homesick. They're bawling their eyes out before bed. And they're like, my mom said that she'd pick me up today if I hated it here, and I hate it here and I need to leave. We try our best to not have that happen. So try your best not to promise your camper that you will call them every day and that you will pick them up. I am not here to trap your camper into camp. So if they are not having any fun, and if none of our many bag of tricks is working, we will call you and we will try and figure out if it is time to go home. But we will communicate if that happens. So just try not to promise that you'll pick them up or call them. Bilingual staff in case they can't communicate. Yes, there are bilingual staff. We have quite a few international staff, and a lot of them speak Spanish. So if your camper speaks Spanish, the staff that are from Spain or that speak Spanish will love to speak Spanish with your campers. And they will, there's a couple that start session 1, and then towards the end of the summer, there will be a lot more. Great question. Does anybody else have questions just about how to prep your first time camper? And we are close to wrapping up. So if you have any final questions, we can start getting into those in the chat, or just give a little hand raise and we'll start answering questions too.
Yeah, and I'm going to show everyone again how to access our parent handbook and show you the table of contents as well, just because it is a wealth of information. Pretty much everything we talked about today is in there. And so you can access it from your forms or just right on our website. Parent handbook is right here. This is kind of everything you'll find in there. So it talks more about what about weather, what about mail and communication, pictures, electronics, behavior management, things like that. And some specifics too. If you are sending a day camper, that is going to have some specific information in here for you as well. A lot of those tips Margaret just mentioned are in here. There's also a nice little map that will soon be updated. This is an old map. We're getting a new one created that we are excited for. And I do also want to share our contact information too. So if you do need to reach out to any of us, you are more than welcome to. Our emails are all listed here. And one person we were not able to introduce tonight is Amy, and she is our office manager, and she is wonderful. So if you ever call us on the phone, Amy is most likely the person that you first speak to. She is wonderful at directing phone calls and helping folks out when it comes to billing questions, registration questions, things like that. I will direct you to the appropriate person if she cannot answer your question. But take note of those, call our office anytime you need to. And because we are more than happy to help as much as we can. But please feel free to read this, browse it with your camper even. You can go through the many things in here. All right, so let's take a moment to kind of revisit the chat, or feel free now if you do want to raise your hand. We can come off mute for a few questions as well.
Let's see a quick thumbs up if you found this helpful. Emoji, thumbs up. Great. So something we should continue to do every year for new families and move forward through. You know, we realize it's you know, you're putting a lot of trust in us, and we thank you for that. And that going to camp can create a lot of anxieties, both for you as parents and for your children. And we're grateful to have your kids with us. We're grateful for that trust, and preparing you for camp this summer is really important to us, because we hope they're with us for a long, long time. We always say, once you're a member of the Camp Olson family and you attend camp once, you're always a member of the Camp Olson family. So we're excited for you to join us.
We are big communicators. So if you have any questions throughout the week, if you just want an update on your camper, send a quick email and we will for sure update you throughout the week if you need to. Ask questions before your camper gets here. And if your camper had reported something to you that you think we should know, for sure, just call us and we will make sure that we can kind of help our camp grow and be better as well. So communicate and we will be there to answer questions, your concerns, or if you want to just say, hey, this is awesome and we love you. That's also great. Question, it looks like Dan.
Yeah.
Is there a certain like cabin or solution for someone like me with autism?
Yeah, you bet. So in one of the forms, the health history form and what we call the mental, emotional, social health form is where you can disclose any information like that. If you maybe have a camper on the autism spectrum, ADHD, maybe depression, anything like that under the sun, we are very well versed in handling those things, and can talk to your parents ahead of time too, or you also, if you want to chat with us to see what it'll be like to give you a better picture of while you're here, we're more than happy to support you. Like a few of us have already said too, we do have a lot of history and experience with mental health issues. Christine is in the mental health field. I am also a therapist as well, though not at camp, but I do have a clinical mental health background as well. So we're more than happy and willing to support any camper with special needs. It just helps if you let us know ahead of time so we can create that support plan for when they are here. So thank you for asking. Looks like Aria has a question for us as well.
So I was just wondering, what type of like art crafts do you do? And like the
Yeah, that is a great question. And I think the easiest answer is anything you can think of. We have so many different things available for you, just random little things that you can kind of use your imagination and creativity for. And then we will also lead special activities too. So you can come in and say, I just want to do this one thing all week. Maybe it's friendship bracelets or painting, popsicle sticks, things like that. We will also have specialty crafts every day that you can do as well. Sometimes some of the big hits are like candle making, tie-dye, various things like that. So, I mean, just about anything you can create in our craft shop.
also just wondering, do you think I could like bring my own beads?
Of course. Yeah. And we have plenty of beads too. But if you have some of your own favorites, yeah, you'd be more than welcome to bring those.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. I think I see a couple other questions here in the chat. Yeah, so Heidi, I would say usually we won't call, like we will read all of those forms that you're filling out for mental health and physical health. And if something catches us of like, oh, this seems a little bit unique, or we feel like we need more information, we will call out to you all. But just because there is a diagnosis doesn't mean that we are going to call. Only if there's something written in there that's like, oh, we might need some more background on this. But if you have any initial questions, or you're like, I think it would be helpful to have a conversation or to share this information, reach out to us for sure. Is there a workshop? So I guess it depends what you mean by workshop. We do have like our maintenance building where our maintenance staff work, but campers don't go in there. We don't do any like woodworking or things like that with our campers. We do, like I said, have popsicle sticks and wood burners, but that's the most kind of that we get towards on the workshop side of things. But depending on what your camper is interested in, there may be a way to kind of work that into our craft shop program. We have had kids that have gotten very creative in their engineering skills in the craft shop.
And we are expanding and building a brand new arts center next year, actually. And next year you will see specialty art camps on our programming for next summer. Each week we'll offer potentially a different specialty art camp. We already have our first residence artist picked out, and we will offer a special paper mache art camp next year where you create all kinds of cool paper mache costumes and headgear and things like that. So we already have one interest for the next summer. So we'll offer specialty art camps next summer, expanding that to music, theatrical, writing, creative writing, poetry. So yeah, we're going to be expanding our arts programming for the 2024 summer. We're really excited about it.
Aria, do you have another question?
So I was wondering if you guys had any like dance type things.
Soon. I mean, you can dance. We have music a lot of places around camp. Like, we do try to be tech free, but we also appreciate some good playlists. So a lot of our program areas have speakers where they're going to have some music that be playing in the background. More than welcome to dance. Oftentimes counselors will even have some speakers in the cabin. So if there's some special requests, you know, during cabin time that you all want to have a dance party, go for it. And that is something that we are definitely looking for in our art programming as well, that we might have some good dance stuff in the future. But yes.
Like you could request a song.
Yeah. As long as it is appropriate, you can request a song.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so exciting, everybody. So exciting to see your faces, see your children's faces, to see them excited for camp, to see you as parents excited for camp. I would say camp gives kids a world of good. And so what we're hoping for is your camper comes home more confident, with more friends, much more independent than you could have ever imagined, maybe too much so, with all kinds of new self-esteem. And if we can do that for your child in a week or 2 weeks this summer, that will make us smile. And our job is to help support you as parents. And we believe that you're doing your job by sending them to camp, because there's not a greater place to learn independence than a camp environment. So thanks for being with us.
Yeah, everyone have a wonderful night. And I am counting down the days till we get to see all of you in person.
Awesome. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
We will see
everybody.
you all
Thanks for
later
the
and-
dance move.
Yes.